Hello, dear viewer. It's me, your DoorDash driver from 9 videos ago. I'm still outside. Your food is getting cold. I ranked every artist's best album ever, and that video did pretty well, so I thought what better to do next than rank every artist's best song ever. How did I decide on a best song, you ask? That's a pretty good question. Here's a treat. I used albumoftheyear.org, which lists off each band's top songs ranked by the community. If I couldn't decide myself, I went with the top dog. If I had a song in mind, I used that instead. Do remember that this is my list and not your list, so if they're not the exact same, that makes a lot of sense. That's all, really. Let's get started. Tupac, Dear Mama. A couple good options for Pac. Ambitions as a Writer was a close second here, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just not the biggest Pac fan, but this song doesn't really do much for me. The lyrics are fantastic, and that's kind of what you're looking for, but the production doesn't really do much for me here. I'm going to give this a B tier. 50 Cent, Many Men. Pretty good track, I'd say. Nothing stellar, but a good song. Back of the B tier. A Perfect Circle, Judith. This is going to break the hearts of many Maynard tards, but I'm thinking A tier for this track. It's good and comfortably their best song, I'd say, but at the end of the day, it's kind of just generic rock. I like it, but I don't love it. A Tribe Called Quest, Conrad Tokyo. Fantastic hip-hop track, one of my all-time favorites. I could have gone with Space Program, We the People, Electric Relaxation even, but I think this track edges him out there. The Kendrick feature, absolutely fantastic, probably my favorite feature from Kendrick, period. I'm a big fan of this track. I'm going GOAT tier. Acid Bath, The Blue. While I think When the Kite String Pops as an album is pretty fantastic, there isn't really an individual track that I'd die for, if that makes sense. I find the album works really well as a whole, but I don't really hit individual tracks from this artist. Maybe that's just me. Scratch that, I just re-listened to the song. I'm gonna go S tier. Aerosmith, Dream On. My god, Aerosmith is gonna do well in this video. This song is fantastic, but I don't really think I've got to waste much time on it. You know the song. Dear God, top of the GOAT tier for Aerosmith. Alice in Chains, Nutshell. Thank God that didn't last long. Aerosmith has been instantly dethroned. This is top of the GOAT tier. Wood, another obvious contender here, but I give the edge to Nutshell, and comfortably at that, I'd say. One of my favorite songs ever recorded, so incredibly profound lyrically, it's hard to describe. One of the greatest songs ever recorded, I'd say. Arctic Monkeys, 505. Perhaps it's the unbearably overplayed nature of this track, but I've kind of had enough of it. I like it, and it probably is their best song, but dear God, is it overplayed. I'm gonna go back of the A tier. Audioslave, Like a Stone, and the gap widens. Poor Aerosmith, easily Audioslave's best song, and probably another one of the greatest songs ever written. The peak of Tom Morello's guitar, I'd say, and probably my favorite studio Chris Cornell performance as well. Beautiful lyrically, beautiful instrumentally. This is GOAT tier, behind Nutshell. Avenged Sevenfold, Afterlife. No, the world is not completely flipped upside down. This band is mid, and this song is good, I guess. I go no further than that, but I think the vocals on this track are actually pretty good. I'm usually annoyed by this band's vocals, but I think they work pretty well here. Back of the beats here regardless, I can't give it much more. Beastie Boys, Sabotage. Pretty fantastic track here, to be honest. They usually do pretty poorly in these videos because a lot of their records are unbearably inconsistent, but individual tracks, there were actually a couple contenders here. Intergalactic and Get It Together, close second and third, but this track, it just fucks. That's the only way I can describe it. Back of the S tier. Biggie Smalls, Gimme the Loot. Another contender for the greatest hip-hop track of all time. This song is Biggie at his peak, I'd say. I love his commercial hits with the sweet choruses, but I think Biggie's at his best when he's just telling a story. I love this song a lot. Comfortably my favorite Biggie track. I'm going GOAT tier, behind Audioslave. Black Country New Road, the place where he inserted the blade. A song I can't really describe, to be honest. Just one of the most beautiful pieces of music ever conceived. Lyrically, sure, but the instrumentation on this track is actually absurd. A must-listen for anyone who hasn't heard it, I would say. GOAT tier, behind Nutshell. Black Sabbath, War Pigs. One of the coldest album openers of all time. There were many options for Black Sabbath. I kind of just almost picked one at random. Too many bangers, killer track, and a track that shaped metal as we know it. GOAT tier, behind Aerosmith, don't be upset. I'm doing my best. Black Star, Respiration. God damn, this track is good. Mos Def is one of my favorite rappers ever, and this is him at the top of his game, I'd say. Talib Kweli and Common also just dominate on this track. Fantastic hip-hop. GOAT tier, above Biggie Smalls. Blink-182, Adam Song. It's pretty okay. I told somebody I'd add Blink-182 to my videos. Sorry I couldn't do you justice today, buddy. C tier. Blur, Coffee and TV. It's a pretty good track, actually. I'm typically not a huge Blur fan, but I find the album 13 to be the exception to that. It's their most experimental work as far as I know, and I think this track is the peak of that experimental sound. Not a lot of other contenders for me. I'm gonna go top of the A tier. Boston, More Than a Feeling. Kind of a banger, I fear. I don't like to give Boston many W's, but this song is pretty fantastic. Probably the only reason this band is successful, to be honest. This song is great. Back of the GOAT tier. Coldplay, Viva La Vida. Not quite as good as Captain Sparkle's Minecraft rendition, but this track is pretty good. Just kind of a classic. You guys know the song. No discussion really needed. Top of the A tier. Creed, My Own Prison. Good God, I'm about to praise Creed. Well, at least a little bit. The song it's pretty fucking good. I know it's Creed, and the second I said Creed, you likely instantly recoiled back about 15 feet, but this song is genuinely pretty good. Some good instrumentation here, and probably Scott's best vocal performance I've heard from him, at least. Back of the A tier. David Bowie, Heroes. Flat out, one of the greatest songs ever recorded. A lot of great options for Bowie, though. Space Oddity, Lazarus, Starman. Too many to name, to be honest. I find the song to be my favorite of his lyrically. Really great song, man. Behind Nutshell, in the GOAT tier. Death, Spirit Crusher. Another band with almost too many options. Symbolic, Crystal Mountain, two very close tracks here, but I've gone with Spirit Crusher. Spirit Crusher I find to be perhaps the most metal track of all time. I don't know if that makes sense to you. Everything you love about the metal genre just kind of taken to its heights. One of my favorite songs ever, especially in metal. Behind Audioslave, in the GOAT tier. Deftones, Be Quiet and Drive, Far Away. Another one of my favorite songs ever recorded. This shit is just beautiful, man. A couple close tracks here. Passenger and Digital Bath off of White Pony, as well as Sex Tape, nearly took this spot. But I think the song is just more iconic, a little more authentic from this band, if that makes any sense to you. Behind David Bowie, in the GOAT tier. Disturbed, Stricken. This is Ass, D tier. Dr. Dre, Still Dre. One of the most iconic hip-hop tracks ever recorded, and for good reason. This is some of the best production I've heard on a rap song, straight up. Lyrically, solid, but this song is all about the production for me. Pretty great, above Aerosmith, in the GOAT tier. Drake, Headlines, pretty mid, I fear. I don't have much to say. Back of the C tier. Elliott Smith, Say Yes. Several options for Mr. Elliott Smith here, but I've gone with the one that makes me sob uncontrollably. This is my favorite track off this record, comfortably at that. Perhaps the most raw and beautiful track in his catalog, if you asked me. Behind Aerosmith, in the GOAT tier. Eminem, Stan. An unfathomably rare, colossal Eminem W here today. This is one of the best hip-hop tracks ever. Lyrically, just Eminem at the peak of his game, and a fantastic feature from Ditto. Fantastic track, above Audioslave, in the GOAT tier. Faith No More, Midlife Crisis. The song is pretty good, but it's just not up there with the big dogs for me. I like Faith No More, and this is baseless, but I probably like Mike Patton more than you. Regardless, the song doesn't quite hit the legendary status for me. I'm going to go A tier, behind Blur. Fiona Apple, Get Gone. The song is pretty fantastic here. I like this a lot. Honestly, I could have gone with almost any track from this record here. This is just a personal favorite track of mine. Really fascinating lyrically, like a lot of this album, but I feel like the album kind of reaches its climax with this track. Really fantastic song. Top of the S tier. Fishman's Long Season. One of the greatest songs of all time, bar none. I've made my stance on Fishman's clear. They're the GOATs. It's 40 minutes long. Is that cheating? Maybe. But still one of the greatest things I've ever heard. Top of the GOAT tier. Foo Fighters, Everlong. I've always thought that even the greatest Foo Fighters album is 8 mid-songs and then 3 good ones. Today that works out for Dave. His relationship with his stripper did not work out. Everlong is one of the greatest rock songs of all time. It's not some complexly written masterpiece, but it's kind of just generic rock at the peak of that genre. And this song slams. Coupled with some really sweet lyricism, dad rock doesn't get much better than this. Behind Eminem, in the GOAT tier. Frank Ocean, Pyramids. A lot of great options here, to be honest. Pink and White and Ferrari come to mind for me, but I give this song the slight edge. The production alone on this track is actually indescribable. It typically is with Frank Ocean, but I think this is probably his peak. Behind Black Sabbath, in the GOAT tier. Godspeed You Black Emperor, Sleep. Another one of the greatest songs ever recorded, and not one I really care to argue. One of the most surreally beautiful tracks I've ever heard, bar none. Up there with Long Season for me, it's just sheer beauty this time for 20 minutes. Behind Long Season, in the GOAT tier. Gojira, Flying Whales. Easily their best track, and one of the rawest metal tracks I've ever heard. The intro segment to this song, the first 2 minutes or so, are just absolutely beautiful, man. One of the greatest metal tracks ever. Behind Death, in the GOAT tier. Gorillaz, On Melancholy Hill. I'm not the biggest gorilla on the planet, but this song I do truly enjoy a lot. Really beautiful track lyrically, and the production isn't as in-your-face as I find a lot of their other songs to be. Pretty fantastic track, I'd say. Behind Frank Ocean, in the GOAT tier. Green Day, Basket Case. Green Day's mid. This song is slightly better than their usual shenanigans, but I still think Billy Joe Armstrong kind of stinks as a vocalist. Behind Blink-182, in the C tier. Guns N' Roses, November Rain. Actually a pretty good track here. I don't like to give Boston many W's, but it truly irks my soul that I have to give Guns N' Roses a W today. This is good, but I won't praise them verbally any further. Back of the S tier. Genius, Fourth Chamber. Pretty strong hip-hop track, but this album doesn't move me like I've seen it move a lot of other cats. I think it's good, and I do think this is the best track on that record, but the more I listen to it, the less impressed I am with this record, top to bottom. Some pretty great production here, though, that I can't deny. A tier, behind Faith No More. Have a Nice Life, Earth Mover. This isn't typically something I'd like, but this is pretty ridiculous, man. Maybe it's the context of the album, but off the top of my head, I'm not sure I could name a better album closer. Absolutely breathtaking production on this track. The tone of the guitar is incredibly gritty, but it's just magic with the production. This is nuts. If only it wasn't the singular most depressing song ever constructed. Behind Nutshell, in the GOAT tier. Hum, Stars. Really great shoegaze track right here. Lyrically and vocally, this band has never really hit for me, but instrumentally, this song is fantastic. It's also done a whole lot for music as a whole, inspirationally at the very least. Comfortably my favorite song from this band, behind Gojira, in the GOAT tier. Incubus, Wish You Were Here. Pretty great track, perhaps not the best track of the same title, but I find it's a very similar situation to that of Everlong. It's not some complex masterpiece, but it's good, fairly generic rock. On a smaller scale, it's not as good as Everlong, but above Judith, in the A tier. Interpol, Obstacle 1. Maybe I didn't give this artist a fair enough shot on my first listen, because I really enjoyed this song much more this go around. This is pretty good shit. Really fantastic instrumentation on here. I really like the drums. I don't know if that's a normal take. Please don't hurt me. Behind Fiona Apple, in the S tier. Let's also move Boston down to the top of the S tier. I regret my decision. Iron Maiden, Hallowed Be Thy Name. It's pretty good metal. To be honest, there's a lot of big dogs on this list, and I just don't think this song really competes with those. I'm sorry, Iron Maiden fans. I like this song, but I can't really get it up there with bands like Death and Gojira. S tier. Behind the Beastie Boys, oh man, they're not going to like that. Jay-Z, 444. Couple great options for Mr. Z here, but I've gone with 444. I believe it's about the time he cheated on Beyonce, and I'd like to go on the record and say, that shit's not cool. But damn does this song go hard. Really great production and some pretty great bars from Jay-Z here. Behind Fiona Apple, in the S tier. Jeff Buckley, Lover You Should Have Come Over. The Yearner starter pack, I believe, opens up with Fake Plastic Trees, but this is most certainly track 2. This is one of my favorite songs ever. Unreal lyricism on this track, coupled with arguably the greatest voice in rock history. Couple that with fantastic instrumentation. Shit doesn't get much better. Above Have a Nice Life, in the GOAT tier, as it actually causes me significantly less misery. Joy Division, Disorder. Pretty fantastic track. I enjoy Joy Division more in an album package than I do individual tracks, but if I had to choose a favorite, I guess it'd be Disorder. Really fantastic instrumentation on this song. Not my favorite vocals in the world, to be honest, but the lyrics I would say more than make up for that, especially in the context of the whole album. Top of the S tier. Kanye West, St. Pablo. Almost too many options to name for Kanye West pre-lobotomy, but I've gone with perhaps a bit of an oddball track. It was never as commercially successful as some of his biggest hits, but I think this is the peak of his production. The feature, I'm not sure who it is to be honest, is actually unreal on this track. One of my favorite album closers, maybe my favorite in hip-hop as a whole. Behind Everlong, in the GOAT tier. Kendrick Lamar, Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst. This is probably the greatest hip-hop track ever made. Off the dome, I can't think of anything better. The climax of Good Kid, Mad City, and probably Kendrick's greatest piece of storytelling ever. Really profound song, and the hip-hop track I'd show anyone that discredits the genre as a whole. Above Nutshell, in the GOAT tier. King Crimson, Starless. Now for probably the greatest album closer of all time, King Crimson's magnum opus. While I prefer In the Court of the Crimson King as a complete package, this track alone is comfortably their best work. The 8-minute instrumental conclusion on this track is actually absurd, and some shit I can't really explain in words, you just kinda gotta hear it. Behind Kendrick, in the GOAT tier. Korn, Freak on a Leash. Pretty fun track, I'd say. Just some good standard nu metal shit. I could have gone with Daddy here, but I fear it wouldn't have gone up almost at all. The song is far more palatable, far less depressing subject matter, which is wild. This song's kind of miserable. And I think just the most energetic and fun, if that applies to any Korn track. Above Incubus, in the A tier. Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven. Is this the greatest song ever recorded? Maybe. I don't think so, but I do think it's damn close. It's got a bad stigma for whatever reason. I guess it's been overplayed for the last 50 years. But it's one of the GOATs, man. That's undeniable in my eyes. Above Kendrick, in the GOAT tier. Limp Bizkit, Break Stuff. One of the very few listenable Limp Bizkit tracks right here. This goes pretty much exactly where the Korn track went. Nu metal taken to its fairly low ceiling. This is just good fun. I can't hate on that. Back of the A tier. Linkin Park, Faint. Why is every nu metal band in the same fucking spot? I far prefer The Park to Limp Bizkit, but I put them in a similar tier to that of Korn. This is my favorite track from these guys. Some other obvious contenders like Numb and In the End, but I think this is their best shit by a little bit, I'd say. Behind Jay-Z, in the S tier. Mad Season, Wake Up. Pretty good track. In the grand scheme of music, I'm not sure it's quite a GOAT, but it's some of Lane Staley's best vocal work, I'd say. Some pretty great guitar work on here as well. I like the song a lot, probably more than most, though. Behind the Beastie Boys, in the S tier. Mad Villain, Fancy Clown. My GOAT. I love the song a lot. It's the first track I really loved when I listened to this record for the first time. I don't have much to say, though. Fantastic production. Doom's flow is always ludicrous, just kind of more of that. Behind Kanye in the GOAT tier. Massive Attack, Angel. Pretty great track right here. Trip hop, not typically my genre, but I do enjoy the big dogs in this genre, Massive Attack being one of them. Some pretty incredible production on this track. Pretty great vocals as well. This is good shit. S tier. Behind Jay-Z. Megadeth, Tornado of Souls. I probably could have gone with almost any track off of Rust in Peace for this. That whole album is pretty incredible. But I think Tornado of Souls is the most impressive. Really catchy riff, ludicrous solo, and even Dave Mustaine's vocals don't make me want to rip out my spinal cord here. Really fantastic thrash, perhaps the peak of the genre. Behind Biggie in the GOAT tier. Metallica, One. These guys always end up next to each other in these videos. Damn you, the alphabet. This is just as good, if not better than Tornado of Souls, I'd say. A close second was Master of Puppets, but I give the slight edge to One. Were it properly produced, I can't imagine how good this track would be. Really fantastic, really dark, really good. Behind Gojira in the S tier. MF Doom, I wrote it on the screen. I'm not saying it. Pretty great track from Doom. Lyrically, pretty light, but really great production on this track. I dare say it's a touch overrated, but still a fantastic song. S tier, above Boston. Misfits, Last Caress. Pretty solid track, I'd say. Kind of ludicrous lyrically, but if you close your eyes and completely disregard the lyrics, this is pretty good. I like it, but I can't say I love anything from this band, to be honest with you. Behind Arctic Monkeys in the A tier. Modest Mouse, Float On. A super banger right here. The Mouse's biggest commercial hit, and I'd say for good reason. A couple other contenders here, but I'd give this track the comfortable W. Super iconic riffs, pretty beautiful message, and some of the better Mouse vocals as well. I like this a lot. Behind Hum in the GOAT tier. Mos Def, Auditorium. Severely underrated track and album right here. Is it his best record? God, no, but I would say this is his best song. Incredible flow on this track, really great beat, fantastic feature from I forget who. This is one of the better hip-hop tracks ever, for sure. Behind Kanye in the GOAT tier. Mr. Bungle, Retro Vertigo. The Avenged Sevenfold cover is mid. Just kind of wanted to get that off my chest. This song is fantastic, and honestly, one of my favorites ever. Mike Patton just dominates on this track. The soft vocals in the verses, coupled with the harsh vocals in the chorus, man, this shit is just magic. Really, really good song. Behind Gojira in the GOAT tier. Muse, Plug-in Baby. Couple contenders for this one. I almost gave it to Hysteria, but I give this one the slight edge. Some pretty good vocals here, actually, and a super sick guitar tone, distorted really well. Pretty fantastic lyrics as well. This is good, Muse fans. Give me more of this. S tier, behind Linkin Park. My Bloody Valentine, When You Sleep. I don't know. My Chemical Romance, Helena. We love My Chemical Romance around here. Is Welcome to the Black Parade a better song? Maybe, but I already made the tier list template. It's too late, and I do think the song is just as good. Phenomenal on all fronts. It's a hit for a reason. I'm going, dear God, GOAT tier, behind Everlong. Nas, New York State of Mind. Fantastic track right here. Nas in his prime had arguably the greatest flow of any rapper. This is the peak of his best record. Really good shit. Behind Eminem in the GOAT tier. 9 Inch Nails, Hurt. One of the darkest pieces of music I've ever heard, and another one of my favorite album closers ever. While I do think this song is fantastic, even in a vacuum, I think the context of the album heavily aged this track's impact for me. A perfect way to wrap up an incredibly dark project. Absolutely haunting track. Behind Bowie in the GOAT tier. Nirvana, Heart-Shaped Box. Incredibly iconic track. One of the highest peaks of the grunge movement, for sure. Great shit. I don't have much to add, though. Above the Foos in the GOAT tier. NWA, Straight Outta Compton. Pretty great hip-hop track. Super iconic, but it's not an incredible song, I wouldn't say. It does what it sets out to do, but it's not revolutionary on any fronts, if that makes sense. Behind Muse in the S tier. Oasis, Champagne Supernova. Actually a really great track from Oasis here. I could have put Wonderwall, and while that would have been way funnier, I think this song is significantly better. Surprisingly good vocal performance from Liam here. Really sweet track. I like this a lot. Behind Hum in the GOAT tier. Opeth, Blackwater Park. Actually just too many options with this band. Tool for people who hate Tool. But I like Tool. This is a great song instrumentally, but to be honest, I've never really enjoyed bands' harsher vocals. I like the softer vocals a lot, but that's why I give the slight edge to bands like Gojira and Death. I just prefer their vocals. Behind Gojira in the GOAT tier. Outkast, The Art of Storytelling Part 1. It's probably an uncommon answer, but this is comfortably my favorite Outkast track. While I can enjoy a Miss Jackson and a Hey Ya, I think these guys are just at their best doing pure hip-hop. The storytelling, I know, unexpectedly, is perhaps the best I've heard on any hip-hop track. The switching of the vocalists lining up with different parts of the story. It's simple, but I love it a lot. Fantastic track. Behind 9 Inch Nails in the GOAT tier. Paramore, Decode. I've dug deep for this track, dear viewer. I feel I consistently disrespect Paramore in my videos, and while I'm still probably going to do that, I thought I'd make it harder for myself. The track never released on a full LP, but instead a single from the fucking Twilight soundtrack. While I've never seen the films, this track is fantastic. Paramore at their peak, I'd say. Fantastic vocals, solid enough instrumentation. This is good stuff. Above Massive Attack in the S tier. They're not going to like that. Pearl Jam 10. It's too sad. I don't want to talk about it. Go tier. Behind Metallica. Pierce the Veil. King for a Day. Guys, I'm trying everything in my power to give Pierce the Veil a W one of these days, but good God, do they make it a challenge. This is their best song for sure, and it's pretty good, but nothing more than that. I'm going to open up to you, dear viewers. Sometimes I listen to the song's instrumentals and I cry. I imagine a world where Vic Fuentes was never allowed to pick up a microphone. It's making me tear up a little right now, to be honest. Back of the A tier. I think the Tupac joke has also gone on long enough. Let's get him up. S tier. Behind Fiona Apple. Pink Floyd, Dogs. Actually an uncomfortable amount of options with this band. I really can't pick a favorite. Shine On You Crazy Diamond 1 through 5. Time. Wish You Were Here. I don't know, guys. I like Dogs the most today. One of the greatest songs ever made. Mesmerizing on all fronts. Behind Kendrick Lamar. In the GOAT tier. Pixies, Where Is My Mind? The Fight Club song. I like this track, but probably less than the average Joe. It's pretty great, I'd say, but I'm not really a huge fan of this band's vocals as a whole. The guitar is pretty great, though. The lyrics are cool. It's good. Behind Fiona Apple in the S tier. Portishead, Glory Box. Another one of the greatest album closers ever. I feel like this whole album is building up to this conclusion, and fuck is it worth it every time. Excellent vocals, really fantastic production. This is really damn good. Behind Kanye in the GOAT tier. Primus, Frizzle Fry. We love Primus now. If you missed an episode, that may have surprised you, but I'm starting to see the appeal of this band now. The song isn't legendary, I wouldn't say, but really good for what it is. Really fun track, above Linkin Park in the S tier. Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody. Dear God, this might get a little controversial. This isn't the greatest song ever. It is legendary, but I think its status has superseded its quality, if that makes any sense. It's a fantastic song, and I feel wrong saying it's not one of the best ever, but it's kind of how I feel. It's one of the most famous songs, but not one of the best in my mind. Behind Portishead in the GOAT tier. Queens of the Stone Age, I Appear Missing. Now this is one of the greatest songs I've ever heard. Do remember this is my list. I haven't said that since the start of the video. I just want to remind you, this song is nuts, man. Kinda hard to describe, but it's ridiculous on all fronts. Lyrically, perhaps the most profound song from this artist, and instrumentally, it's really catchy and pretty fun, to be honest. I like this a lot. Behind Nutshell in the GOAT tier. R.E.M., Losing My Religion. It's pretty good, I'd say. I don't go much further than that. I like it. Above Boston in the S tier. Radiohead, How to Disappear Completely. I am a Radiohead glazer. It's clear, it's obvious. Is it bias? Perhaps, but I think it's undeniable that Radiohead is one of the greatest bands of all time. This is the single most beautiful song I've ever heard. Lyrically, incredibly profound, beautiful story behind it, but I won't go into it much. Instrumentally, just absolutely ethereal. The orchestral work on this track, it's indescribable. Top of the GOAT tier. Rage Against the Machine, Killing in the Name. A couple great options with this band, and while this probably isn't my favorite Rage track, I do think it's the best. Lyrically, some of the band's most passionate and just incredibly raw lyrics. A song that genuinely makes you want to rage against the machine. I can't think of a better track for this artist. Behind Queen in the GOAT tier. The Red Hot Chili Peppers, Mommy Where's Daddy. I haven't been able to spread the Anthony Kiedis gospel in far too long, so today I thought I'd point out maybe the singular worst song I've ever heard. Mommy Where's Daddy. I've got a little theory about this track. Don't quote me on this, but I wouldn't be surprised if a 23-year-old Anthony Kiedis first heard this title while spending time with his girlfriend. That might have caught you off guard. What adult would say something like that? That's where I scratched the record. 23-year-old Anthony Kiedis' girlfriend was actually 14 years old. That's pedophilia. Now you might be thinking, these are bold accusations, mister. What do you have to back this up? For you, my lovely skeptics, I have Anthony Kiedis' own autobiography, in which he admitted to sleeping with a 14-year-old multiple times, might I add. Wild stuff. This is a Youch tier song. Shinedown Second Chance, actually a pretty decent track here. Another Everlong kind of situation, decent for what it is, but not really outside the scope of divorced dad rock. I like it, but it's nothing too special. Behind Korn in the A tier, I think that's a new PB for Shinedown. Congratulations, Shinedown guy. Sleep Token, Hypnosis, Ass, no further questions, back of the D tier. Slipknot, Eyeless, actually a pretty decent track from Slipknot today. Some absolutely ridiculous drums on this track from the late Joey Jordison, and a pretty solid performance from everyone else here, I'd say. It's Slipknot, it's not Mozart, you know what I mean? I can't rank it too high. Behind Mad Season in the S tier. Slow Dive, When the Sun Hits. Really fantastic shoegaze track right here. Dare I say better than anything My Bloody Valentine has ever pooped out of their ass. Really strong lyrically as well. A super downer track, but an incredible listen nonetheless. Behind Hum, in the GOAT tier. Smashing Pumpkins, Mayonnaise. If you call this shoegaze, this is the GOAT shoegaze track. This is one of my favorite songs of all time. Some close contenders with this band, 1979 of course, but I'd like to throw in Hummer as a bit of a dark horse option. This song though, my god, absurdly good. Behind Pink Floyd, in the GOAT tier. Soundgarden, Black Hole Sun, maybe the best grunge song for whatever that's worth. I mean that in terms of pure grunge, though. I don't really view most of Jar of Flies as grunge, more so acoustic rock. But in terms of grunge itself, this is probably as good as it gets. One of the greatest vocalists to ever live, at the top of his game, some incredible production. This is fantastic. Behind Eminem, in the GOAT tier. Steely Dan, Kid Charlemagne. Shout out to Pre-Lobotomy Kanye because even he knew this was a banger. This is pretty fantastic. Really creative shit for its time. Not that I was there, I don't know. That was kind of just a guess. This is great. Top of the S tier. Stone Temple Pilots, Plush. We, and I mean all of us, love Stone Temple Pilots. This song fucks. Is it some masterfully written ballad? No. But fuck, is it fun? Maybe the most fun track I've ever heard. This is a song for good times, and I love it a lot. Above My Chemical Romance, in the GOAT tier. Swans, The Sound. A tough band for me to really pick one song, to be honest. I think listening to individual tracks from this band is almost doing yourself a disservice. One of the bands that really needs to be consumed in album form, but if I had to decide on one, I'd pick The Sound off of Soundtracks for the Blind. Just an absolutely unreal song. Post-rock, taken to its peaks. I'm gonna go GOAT tier, behind David Bowie. System of a Down, Chop Suey. Unbearably iconic track, the peak of nu metal by a fucking landslide, if that's how you categorize this band. Several correct answers from this artist, most notably Sugar and Aerials in my mind, but Toxicity another super obvious answer. This band is goated, this song is goated. Behind Soundgarden, in the GOAT tier. Tame Impala, Let It Happen. The worst person you know thinks this is the greatest song ever. While I think this song is fantastic, I do think it's a touch overrated. Really creative sound, and the progressive-like nature is done pretty well here. But I think this song's success is at the very least a little bit based on the accessibility of this record. It's a really easy artist and album to get into, and you feel much smarter for liking it, I think. This is great, but not quite a GOAT. S tier, behind Joy Division. Temple of the Dog, Hunger Strike. The track that put Eddie Vedder on the map, comfortably this band's best work. Really fantastic shit all around. I love the vocal dichotomy between Chris and Eddie here. Really underrated grunge track, even if it's their most known. The whole band deserves more respect. Above Aerosmith, in the GOAT tier. The Beatles, A Day in the Life. A shit ton of options here as well. Too many to name, to be honest, but I think this is the most universally loved track from these guys. Really fantastic way to conclude this record, and a really strong song in its own right. Just beautiful in all regards. There's a reason these guys are legends. Above Deftones, in the GOAT tier. The Cure, Just Like Heaven. One of the GOATs I fear. It's not as complex as a lot of The Cure's other tracks, especially on albums like Disintegration, but I think the way the song has kind of remained one of the most beautiful songs for the last 40 years is something to note. It's a really, really sweet song, and I love it a lot. How could you not? I know someone in the comments will find a way, they always do, but this is great. Above Have a Nice Life, in the GOAT tier. The Doors, The End. Pretty fantastic track, a personal favorite of mine, but there are some obvious other contenders with this band. Light My Fire, of course. Riders on the Storm, People Are Strange, all absolutely incredible tracks, but I've always preferred The End. Like, it's a really poetic way to close out an album. Really strange, but that's kind of the Doors. This is like the Doors song in my mind. Does that make sense? Back of the GOAT tier. The Flaming Lips, Race for the Prize. A band that went under my radar for a while, to be honest, but they're quickly becoming a favorite of mine. I've only listened to 2 of their records, The Soft Bulletin and Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots, but man, are those 2 records incredible. This is one of the coolest songs I've ever heard. The shit they were able to cram into this track is just absolutely nuts. The production, also maybe the greatest I've ever heard in this genre. This is absurdly good. If you get nothing else from this video, I recommend smoking some weed and listening to this song, for little old me. Behind Deftones, in the GOAT tier. The Jimi Hendrix Experience, All Along the Watchtower. Yeah, it's a cover, I know, but to be honest, it might as well be his song. There's a couple more complex songs I could have picked from this artist, most notably Voodoo Child, but I think the simplicity of this track just kind of exceeds everything else he's done in my mind. Ridiculous guitar work as you'd expect. This is an incredible song. Behind Black Country New Road, in the GOAT tier. The Microphones, The Moon. Almost any song off The Glow Part 2 probably could have made this list, but I think The Moon is their best work by a little bit. Incredible guitar work on this track, really sweet lyrically. This is a fantastic track. Kind of a turning point in this album for me. A really important track that kind of ties this record together. Behind System of a Down, in the GOAT tier. The Police, Message in a Bottle. This is fantastic. A close second in Every Breath You Take, but I give the song the slight edge as it doesn't make me miserably sad. This is good fun, well written, creative, lyrically fun. This is what it's all about right here. Above Queen in the GOAT tier. The Roots, You Got Me. This is pretty good shit, though I don't think I'd call it excellent shit. Really good song, a shoo-in for the S tier. I fear I can't quite get it up to the GOAT tier. S tier, behind Steely Dan. The Smiths, There Is a Light That Never Goes Out. Really great track, fantastic vocals from Morrissey. I've always thought lyrically this band was super interesting. I feel they kind of tell disconnected stories rather than singing a typical love song. I like this a lot. Behind Opeth in the GOAT tier. The Strokes, Ode to the Mets. I love this song a lot. I'm a massive Stroker. Jesus Christ, I gotta stop saying that. And I think the song is a fantastic concluding piece to their discography, if The New Abnormal ends up being their final record. Really strong production on this track, a stellar performance from Mr. Casablancas, phenomenal lyrics. This is good shit. Above Audioslave in the GOAT tier. The Velvet Underground, Sunday Morning. I'm often at war with the banana. I think it's fairly overrated, but I really do like the opening track. I find the rest of this record isn't as good, but this first song is really great, I won't lie. Behind Slow Dive in the GOAT tier. The Verve, Bittersweet Symphony. The Verve is a band that I'd describe as, to be honest, pretty mediocre. A lot of their tracks don't do much for me, but this track alone is a GOAT. That's undeniable shit. There's nothing else really like it sonically, and the lyrics are really touching, man. I like this a lot. Behind System of a Down in the GOAT tier. Third Eye Blind, Semi-Charmed Life. I love Third Eye Blind. This is one of those super generic rock tracks that just get you going. You know what I mean? This is a classic. Top of the S tier. Tool, Lateralis. My personal favorite song of all time right here. Incredibly complex musically and even lyrically, but this song contains a beauty that no other song I've ever heard has. I find it so beautifully optimistic on a record where it doesn't really make much sense to me. I can't praise it enough, but I'll factor in my bias a little bit. I'm just kidding. This is my list. Top of the GOAT tier. What are you going to do about it? Travis Scott, 90210. It's pretty good, I'd say. I re-listened to it. It's really good. This is great hip-hop right here. Not much more, but certainly no less. Really creative track. I like the change up in the middle of this track a lot. Back of the GOAT tier. Typo Negative, I Don't Want to Be Me. I think this band stinks. I think that's one of my hotter takes. The more I listen to this artist, the less I actually enjoy them. This song does nothing for me. Is it bad? No, but it sounds incredibly generic to me with pretty uninteresting lyrics. I'm going to go C tier behind Green Day. Van Halen, Running with the Devil. Some guy said this is the perfect song to drink and drive to, and while I don't condone that, of course, that guy hit the nail in the coffin. Super fun song. Behind Incubus in the A tier. Ween, Transdermal Celebration. Many options with Ween, but I've gone with, I suppose, the most critically acclaimed track. Some other contenders for me are Ocean Man, The Argus, Someday. I don't want it. I'll stop there, but fuck, this band is so good. This song just brings a wave of joy over me that no other song really can. This is one of my favorite songs ever. Fantastic track from Ween. Above Jeff Buckley in the GOAT tier. Weezer, Say It Ain't So. Incredibly alright track right here. It's iconic, I'll give it that. But never in my entire life have I heard a Weezer song and been knocked off my feet. Back of the B tier. Wu-Tang Clan, Cream. Flat out, one of the greatest hip-hop tracks of all time. Incredible production, a timeless track that I don't really feel I need to discuss much. Behind Eminem in the GOAT tier. That's all I have written here. This one was tough, to be honest. It's pretty hard to compare tracks like this, but I did my best. I'll be live streaming tonight at 11 o'clock EST, listening to your favorite song, so hop in there if you'd like. Please let me know how wrong I am in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope I see you in the next one. Peace.